Welcome y'all to Married at First Sight, Season 15, Episode 14. Come on in and grab a seat. My name is Deborah, and I'm going to be reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 15. And this is going to be my video for Miguel and Lindy. And if you haven't been here before, welcome to my channel. Please go ahead. And I hope you like your time here with me. For everyone else who has come here every week with me, welcome back. Thank you for coming. Shout out to all my VIP members. And please, y'all, if you like this video, please go ahead and like the video. Drop down in the comments if you're new or if you're here all the week. Let's talk about it because we got a lot to talk about. Hit that subscribe button. And shoot, if you want to join the channel and become a VIP member, go ahead and hit that join button too. But I need to hurry on up with this little speech of mine because I need to get into these videos because this week was explosive. So I got a lot to talk about because we're about to talk about Lindy and Miguel. And it was all around this prom that Lindy never had, as she says, because they never had no formal dances at her high school and they didn't have no prom. Well, let me tell you, she's been waiting 20 years for this prom, and I don't think it's the prom she wanted. Because at the end of this prom, she was going home crying. Y'all. I don't know about Lindy anyway. I told y'all, you know, some of her stories don't line up. She's on the after party this week. I'm going to do an after party video later on too, but she's on the after party along with Alexis, and then they have another guest person on the after party, another gentleman. But she's on the after party and she starts talking about, I guess there's another part when she was singing. So she said she's always sang a lot and does a lot of singing. I don't know. Lindy tells these stories and then she comes and tells another story and it just doesn't seem to add up. But we're not going to get into that. I'll talk about that in my after party video. But let me tell you, if you think the blow up of Miguel this week was all about that picture taken, that photo in the bedroom, you are all wrong. You are all wrong. Let me tell you, this week, this blow up that Miguel had, it is the same blow up that Kristen had last week. So if you could empathize with Kristen last week, how she was fed up and done, and she just sort of burst out and let everything out, then you should have the same feeling for Miguel because it's the exact same thing, people. It is a buildup. Has nothing to do with this so-called picture taken in the bedroom. That's why it seems out of character. That's why it seems outsized, like an outsized reaction. Because if you take it isolated and you think it's just about this picture in the bedroom, you're wrong. This is a buildup. So since Miguel couldn't really say what he wanted to say, I'm going to say it for him because this is what he really wanted to say. He wanted to say to Lindy, I'm tired of this crap. I'm tired of you thinking that I'm your slave. I'm supposed to cook for you, clean for you, pay your bills, pay your student loans. I got to take care of this fake baby. I got to do everything. I got to hold in all my feelings because I got to make sure your feelings don't get out of control. I can't express myself because if I do, then who's going to control you, Lindy? I'm tired of giving you snacks so you can also hold it in. I'm tired of treating you like a child, always babysitting your feelings. Now my feelings never get to be about. And this picture taking, this is one more moment when you try to treat me like I was your servant and I'm here to do for you whatever you want me to do. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired. I'm laying on this bed and here you want me to get up here to take your picture. I'm not getting up and taking no picture because I'm tired of always doing things for you that you want. When am I going to get my chance? Just like Kristen said last week. When is it going to be my chance? I'm tired of always having to worry about Lindy's feelings. When is someone going to worry about my feelings? That was his moment. That was Miguel's moment. And that's why it seemed wild that he was having it over a picture taking. But this was a buildup. And let me tell you something. Lindy is a child. I've been saying this. that Lindy is a child. She doesn't want to take responsibilities for things that she does. And the situation over this whole thing when she will blow up and you got to give her snacks and candy, that's just like a child. That's like your child falling out in Walmart, and just so the child to shut up, you got to feed them some candy or give them something so they don't continue to embarrass you in front of Walmart. That's what Lindy does all the time. She controls Miguel with her threat of outbursts. She said, oh, you haven't seen my outburst. This is a 4.5, but you don't want to see my outburst. So you better keep feeding me candy. You better keep keeping me calm because you can't handle my outburst, Miguel. So you better hold all your feelings in and just let me do what the heck I want to do because you can't control my real outburst. This is what's going on with Lindy and Miguel. And what we're finding out, this is no different from the way Kristen and Mitch started off. So everybody thinks Lindy and Miguel is the best couple. And I keep saying, maybe they're handling their stuff behind the camera. Maybe they're working through issues that we don't know because we hadn't seen anything from them. That's why they gave him that little baby last week to try to bring some of their controversy out. But it didn't happen last week because you know what? You know why nothing happened last week, that baby McGindy? Because Miguel decided he was going to take care of the baby by himself. He didn't fight back with Lindy. He didn't do anything. But here he is. He says, I'm tired from the week. I've had a stressful week. And so when you're tired and you're stressful, your guard is down. You don't have the same mental strength to get through situations that you normally would. And guess what? On this trip, Miguel was tired and it came all out. Miguel started talking about, don't be talking to me that way with that tone, telling me to take no selfie. Because what Lindy did do was Lindy was sort of demanding, take my picture, take it the way I want to, get up out of bed. Now listen, did I think it warranted such the strong reaction from Miguel? No, I think he could have handled it differently, I do. But when you add the cumulative effect, that if I'm laying down and someone tells me to get up there, take their picture, and I say, I'll take it later, and then you demand, and what Lindy started doing was, she started going into her whining mode. She started escalating her voice. She started saying, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to ramp this stuff up. And he's seen it before. But normally, he may not be tired. Normally, he lets it go. Normally, he talks to her a lot more calmly. Normally, he lets her go on. But this time, he said, I'm not letting it go. Because he said, we've been here before. And she whines and throws tantrums like a baby. She's a child. And Miguel is getting tired of it. Miguel is getting tired of having to talk to this woman about stuff she should already know. She doesn't know some basic things. And she always claims, oh, I don't know how to read you, Miguel. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it one bit. I think Lindy is spoiled. I think she's a child, and I think she tries to use this act of naivete to get away with things. Oh, I didn't know that's how you do it. I didn't know that's what you're supposed to do, because that gives her a pass on her behavior. And let me tell you, this week, Miguel was calling her out on it. He told her, you need to do a better job at reading the room. I'm not trying to be your personal photographer when I'm laying down and trying to get a rest. And even Lindy admits later on in the episode, she says she has been accused of before not being able to read the room. She has been accused of being selfish. These are all things Lindy has heard before. She's heard them before. But one thing we know about Lindy, it doesn't matter how many times she hears it, because her solution has always been the same. Take it. Deal with it. I'm not changing anything. All these outbursts she's had over student loans and give me health care and all these other kind of stuff, these are all just symptomatic of what Lindy does. Lindy threatens people with outbursts, and typically what she's banking on is that you won't want to see her outburst, so you'll give in to her and you'll give her whatever she wants because you're trying to present the outburst. I'm telling you, it's the same threat your children used on you when you were in a store and they said, you know what, if my mama don't give me this candy, I'm gonna fall out in Walmart. All of y'all know, when did you finally stop dealing with your kids if they fell in a Walmart, if they did it? You know what you did? You left them on that floor. You said, you know what, you can fall out you want to. I'm not picking you up. And they learned a lesson. And that's what Miguel is finally doing to Lindy. He says, I'm not picking you up. You can have this outburst. You can have these tears. You can do all that. But listen, I'm not going to continually sacrificing my emotions for your emotions. But Lindy said she was all excited about being this prom queen. She had on her nice sequins dress. She was all excited about the prom and everything. Later on, she tried to start backtracking on the reason why she got so testy. she started trying to come up with an answer saying, oh, the reason why I got so testy about taking the picture because I was nervous. That wasn't it. And this is what Miguel doesn't like about Lindy. What he doesn't like about Lindy is Lindy doesn't tell the truth. He thinks Lindy isn't telling the truth, but what I think about Lindy is she actually doesn't have very good emotional intelligence. She is very much like a child. She doesn't even understand her own emotions, so she just actually reacts. It's just like a child when a child is crying, but the difference is a mother knows the different cries. A mother knows, oh, he's crying because his diaper's wet. Oh, he's crying because he's hungry. Oh, he's crying because he's sleepy. So oftentimes it's the mother who has to interpret the feelings of the baby so the mother knows how to respond to the baby and give the baby exactly what she wants. This is Lindy. Lindy doesn't even know her own emotions. She's always talking about, because I need candy, I need, it's because my sugar level. That's not what it is. And what Miguel is saying, why can't you admit why you have outbursts? Why don't you know who you are? And what he's asking of her is, why don't you have more emotional intelligence in knowing your own emotions? Why do I have to tell you your own emotions and tell you that you were upset? Why are you trying to pretend like you weren't annoyed and upset and you were just joking? Miguel was like, you weren't joking. Stop trying to pretend like you were joking. You weren't joking. You were annoyed. And she's like, oh no, I was joking. He's like, either you're lying or you don't know your real emotions. And let me tell you what it is. She doesn't know her real emotions. Miguel is running around talking about, you're gaslighting me. You're gaslighting me. You're trying to make me pretend like I didn't know you were annoyed, but you're really annoyed. You're trying to make me pretend like it was a joke, and I know it wasn't a joke. And he's calling it gaslighting, like she's deliberately doing it or subconsciously doing it. But the truth of the matter is, Lindy doesn't know her own emotions. I'm telling you, Lindy is emotionally unintelligent, and she's like a child. She has underdeveloped sense and awareness of what she's doing and how she affects everyone, and that's what makes it childlike. And once Lindy gets trapped somewhere and the gig is up and Miguel pins her down, what does Lindy turn to? She turns to this sort of self-deprecating personality. Oh, I can't do anything right. She starts to cry. She starts to play the victim, because what she knows is once she starts playing the victim and she starts crying, Miguel is going to soften up. He's going to come back. He's going to apologize. And then he's going to take the blame for it. Just like when she went off that time about, I'm not going to take your last name. And if you can't give me health care, why should I take your last name? She blows up. She starts to cry. And then what does Miguel do? He gives in to her and gives her what she wants. I'm telling you, it's like a child at Walmart. And then she started going on talking about, oh, well, when you didn't want to take my picture, I felt neglected. She said, I felt neglected. I felt ignored. What? All because a person didn't want to take your picture? You are that much of a victim that you feel neglected and ignored? See, this is what I'm saying. Lindy's dramatic, and everyone says she's dramatic. And this was one of the things I was worried about with this couple in the very beginning of the season. Anyone who's seen my videos, when these two first came on, I think we were on episode 1. We hadn't seen much. I said a thumbs down on these two. Because what they were telling us was that both of these two were very emotional. And I said the problem with two emotional people is that they both get in their feelings and everybody wants their emotions to be number one. We knew Lindy was emotional, and they said Miguel was also emotional. He said he was emotionally intelligent, but he said he was emotional. And I said, oh, that's going to be a problem. Because when two emotional people are really going at it and they get all in their feelings, those emotional people, all their feelings are paramount. And who's going to be the one to back down? Then I started saying, well, maybe I was wrong as time went on, because you know what I didn't see from Miguel? I didn't see a lot of these emotional outbursts from Miguel. I saw Miguel regulating. I saw them from Lindy. I saw the tantrums from Lindy. But I thought, oh, Miguel has much more of a capability to control himself than Lindy does. But here's what happened. He can't live in that space forever. He can't live in it, and he's reached his limit. He has reached his limit, because the truth of the matter is Miguel is just as emotional as Lindy. Well, not as much, but he's emotional too. And all this time, Miguel has been bottling up his emotions so Lindy could live. See, here's the problem with Lindy. Lindy keeps thinking she's walking on eggshells, and as she keeps saying, I can't be myself because I'm only at a 4.5, but I really want to go to a 10. So Lindy believes she's containing herself to be with Miguel. But here's the problem, Lindy. You shouldn't even be at a 10, period. So you're not really doing anything, right? So what happens is Miguel has to go all the way to a 0 so she can be at a 4.5 all the time. but she feels stifled because she wants to be at a 10. They both are holding back. He's holding back and she's holding back. He has been holding back more than her. And so in this episode, he let it all hang out. But after the little prom blow up, then you know what? Miguel does what he normally does. He apologizes, says he's sorry. He gives her a kiss, and they go on about their day. And then, or about their evening. And then later on that night, Stasha and them come over with this little sex toy and say, hey, you guys have to practice this, do what we do. Stasha and Nate, stay out of people's bedrooms. But anyway, they come over there giving them these little sex toys. And Miss Innocent Lindy, we didn't think she knew what to do with that thing hanging on the door, but she came up with some new positions. Lindy always talking about she innocent, but then when that little toy came, she knew darn near exactly what to do with that toy. And in fact, she actually came up with the new positions. And in the end, she taught Nate and Stasha something. They were like, oh, wait a minute, we didn't think of that. And then, they make up that night. Miguel says they have a good conversation. He decides he's going to be less accusatory towards Lindy and all this other kind of stuff. So you could tell he went back, apologized for everything that he did. And now they go out on this carriage ride, and they're riding through the carriage. And here's Miguel. He done written a whole poem for her, poetry, spoken word, whatever you want to call it. And child Lindy with the ADHD, she can't even let the man get through his poem. And she's all over the place. Look at the rabbit. Look at the horse. Look at this. Look at that. And I'm thinking to myself, dang, Lindy, obviously he's put some time and effort into this rap song. You can't let him get the rap song out before you start pointing out all the other things around. Now, like I said, that may seem like a small thing when it's isolated, but when you just came up off of last night, when once again, her emotions, her feelings, her desires are more important, and now here I am pouring out my heart to you with a poem I wrote, a rap song or whatever, and you can't hold it together for this 2 minutes to hear my rap song, I would be irritated too, just like Miguel. I would be irritated because now what I'm thinking is, who am I here with? Am I here with a child with ADHD who can't even sit still in a classroom and listen? Why is she bouncing around all the time? And why does she always just have to give in to whatever she wants to do? And then she flips it around like it's your problem. And she starts talking about, man, what? I can't point at a rabbit. That's not the point. She trivializes the arguments. She acts like, well, I can't point out a rabbit. That's not what we're talking about, that you can't point out a rabbit or you can't point out a horse. The question is, do you have to point it out when I'm up here singing to you a rap song or something I said to you? Why can't I, for once, be the most important thing in the moment? Why do you, Lindy, why do you, your emotions, your thoughts, always have to be number one? It's not about this rabbit. It's not about this horse, you see. It's not about taking no selfie, photograph in the room. It's about, why do you always have to be number one? That's the problem. And Lindy starts talking about, well, it's just me. It's who I am, and you're going to have to accept me, and I just have a bird brain. Girl, you're a whole doctor. You're a whole medical doctor, and you sitting on here talking about you a bird brain? You're supposed to be a medical professional, and you talking about you have a bird brain? I don't believe it. I think Lindy can hold it together when she needs to, and I think when she doesn't want to, she doesn't want to. I think she's just like a child. It's a manipulation tactic to say, I'm going to fall out if I don't get my way. Lindy is spoiled, period. She's spoiled. And she says, I just have to walk around with blinders. I can't notice if there's a rabbit on the horse. Girl, don't be trivializing this conversation. That would irritate me. If I was Miguel, I was like, I'm a whole PhD over here. You really think this conversation is about a rabbit and a horse? Give me a break, girl. Go a little deeper. Have some emotional intelligence to understand what this conversation is about. This ain't about no rabbit or no horse. You're supposed to be a medical professional doctor, a doctorate degree. I'm a PhD. And do you really think we sit here talking about rabbits and horses? I was irritated with Lindy. This playing dumb, just like she tries to play like, oh, I'm so sheltered, I don't know anything. I'm done with this playing dumb and act like she don't know anything. That she doesn't know the difference between taking a picture when she's just standing somewhere and the difference between asking somebody to get up out of bed to take a picture. You don't know the difference. You don't know the difference in the inconvenience. You don't know the difference between asking me to take a picture when I'm laying down trying to sleep versus when I'm standing right next to you. You think it's the same thing? Get out of here, girl. See, Lindy keeps talking about she's got to censor herself, that she's walking on pins and needles. Because what she's saying is, I got to censor myself so that I don't go from a 4.5 to a 10. What she doesn't understand is Miguel is censoring himself to deal with your 4.5. That's what she doesn't get. She thinks she's the only one making sacrifices, and she's not. And then she starts talking about, you're going to have to accept me for who I am. And if I put my foot down, no one has to accept this. And that's what Miguel is saying. People have accepted this all your life. This is why you haven't gotten better. And this is what I tell people about accepting people's bad behavior, because then they become the Lindys of the world. And then they wonder, why don't you accept me as I am? Are people not going to accept you as you are? You need to change some things. And this is something Lindy hasn't dealt with her whole life. She has gotten past this her whole life. She keeps saying she had this hard upbringing and she had too many restrictions on her. I think the opposite is true. I think Lindy didn't have a lot of restrictions. I think there were a lot of rules where she was, but you know what? Lindy didn't follow any of them. None of them. I think when she says she grew up in a place or a church or a school where there were rules, I believe it. But you know what I believe? I don't think Lindy followed the rules. She is not a rules follower. Lindy does what the heck she wants to do. And then what she tells everyone else is deal with it, figure it out, because this is who I am. And I don't need to censor myself, or you need to adjust to me. That's Lindy's whole game plan. And then when Miguel starts telling her, well, you know what? You have these blow-ups. She goes, this isn't a blow-up. It is a blow-up, Lindy. When you're crying and walking off and storming off, it's a blow-up. It is a blow-up. And so now she's trying to pretend like it's not a blow-up. Well, according to Lindy, maybe it isn't a blow-up because this is par for the course. This is a 4.5. This is a 6. She's saying, this ain't no blow-up compared to what a blow-up may look like. Well, that's your standard, Lindy. That's your standard. That's not everyone else's standard. A blow-up to you may be a 10, but right here, if someone is crying and they storm off of a conversation, that's a blow-up. That means you've lost control of yourself so much that you have to end the conversation in hysterics. That's a blow up. You've lost control of your emotions. That's a blow up. And so then when they go off the next day and they're taking these pictures and she wants to take a picture with the sunset and she goes, oh, well, I want to ask Miguel. And she asked the producer, oh, whatever his name, Stefan or whatever his name was, can you take my picture? And Miguel gets hot. And once again, Lindy doesn't get it because I get it. So now what you're telling me is, Lindy, you don't know the difference between asking me to take a picture when I'm right next to you and the difference between asking to take a picture when I'm laying down, I'm telling you to sleep. Is that what you're telling me? You're that naive? You're that emotionally unintelligent? And so when she says, oh, well, that's all right, Miguel, you don't have to take a picture. I'll ask the producer because I don't want to bother you. She was being snarky. She was being manipulative. She knew it would make Miguel mad, and she was taking a dig at him the day before, and she was trying to trivialize why he was upset the day before because she really thinks it's all over taking a picture, and that's not the point. The point was she was being inconsiderate at a time when he was trying to do something for himself, and she said, to hell with what you're trying to do for yourself. I need some attention. And she still didn't get it. And now in this new moment with this picture taken for the sunset, she tries to equate and act like the things are the same. No, it's not. Lindy got on my nerve this episode. I know a lot of people are going to be mad at Miguel because he did lose his control. But let me tell you, if you was rooting for Kristen last week for her losing her control, then I don't see how you can be for Miguel, because Miguel was fed up this week. Fed up. And she's like, well, I'm trying to learn. And I don't know. I got to take notes. Why do you have to take notes? This is so childlike that you haven't experienced certain situations before, so you don't know what to do in them. Lindy's childlike. She's immature. She talked about she was engaged to be married, so she has had a relationship experience. So I can't even chalk this up to the fact that she doesn't have any relationship experience. I think Lindy is oblivious to other people's needs, and I think she's concentrated on her own needs. And I think what's very convenient is to say, I don't know. When you overlook another person's needs, the easy answer to say is, well, I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. Well, take the time to know. Just like Miguel said, well, if you don't know, why don't you ask? And you know what she didn't have? She didn't have an answer. He said, if you don't know, why don't you ask? And she didn't have an answer for it because you know what? That stumped her. That stumped her because that's the logical answer. When you don't know if a person wants to do something, the logical thing would be to ask. That's logical. But Lindy don't want to ask because she don't want to care about you anyway. Lindy's selfish. I'm telling you, Lindy is selfish. But of course, after it was all over, guess what? Miguel does what he normally does, just like Kristen does. I'm telling y'all. He goes back, he sleeps on it. He goes back, he apologizes, says he was grumpy. He probably was all those things. He was grumpy, he was tired, he was exhausted. He definitely is exhausted from Lindy for these 8 weeks. And what he said was he lost his cool. He did it. He did lose his cool. But he lost his cool because he didn't have the stamina he normally has to withstand Lindy. But let me tell you, the answer isn't for Miguel to always be on a pitch perfect, to be always primed and ready. Because in order for them to work, that's what needs to happen. Because Lindy doesn't have self-control over herself. So the person who has to stay in control all the time is Miguel. And when he's tired and when he's weak and he's not able to carry the load, this is what you get. This is what you get. And I know at that prom, they won prom. They got prom king and queen. They got the couple most likely to stay together. Everybody was talking about they love. So as all this stuff started blowing up in the episode, all the other couples were like, dang, we just voted y'all the most likely to stay married. And y'all having these blow-ups over here and everything. Because now the other couples are realizing they haven't seen a lot going on with Miguel and Lindy. And Miguel has been holding a lot in, which is so ironic because if you remember in the earlier episodes, it was Miguel and Lindy saying everybody else is fake. Oh, they fake. We being real. Looky here, looky here. Everybody else was fake, especially when Alexis and Justin were talking about how great their relationship was in the beginning. Everybody else was fake, and Miguel and Lindy were running around talking about they're the only ones keeping it real. And here we find out the only reason they've been keeping it real or staying together or not having outbursts is because Miguel has been holding his tongue for 7 weeks. And guess what? That tongue is ready to rip. Now who is so great? I mean, they're up here giving speeches about what love is, like they've been married for 10 years. They only been married for 7 years. They haven't had no challenges, and they over here giving speeches like they've been married for 10 years. They sound just like Alexis when she's talking about marriage is easy. And now all of a sudden some trouble has hit them, and they struggling and having some problems. And then this dodgeball comes, and guess what? It gets stirred up all again because they playing dodgeball and it's teams against team. And then Miguel gets in his feeling because Lindy's like, get him, get him, get him. Can't read the room. I can't read the room. At another point in time, it might not have been a big thing telling Nate to get her husband. It wouldn't have been a big deal. But you're doing it on the heels of we had a bad weekend. Miguel has told you that he doesn't feel like you're on his team. Miguel has told you, I don't feel like you're thinking about my feelings. And once again, she doesn't read the room and say, maybe this isn't the time for me to root against my husband. Maybe I ought to just be quiet. She could have just been quiet. Now, in a normal, ordinary situation, it would have been a big deal. But can Lindy hold it together? No, she goes, because I'm competitive. I got to win. I got to win. Once again, Lindy's feelings, Lindy's emotions, what Lindy wants trumps everything else. And there isn't a problem. Because Lindy in that moment, although it was trivial in and of itself that she rooted against him, it's the timing of it. And she should have known better. She should have said, we've had a hard weekend. He has felt very not comfortable with me. He has not felt close to me. Why in this moment would I choose to be so boisterous and loud and root against him? Because she wasn't rooting against the whole team. Because at this point in time, the teams weren't playing anymore. It was Miguel versus Nate. It was one-on-one. So it wasn't like she was just rooting for her team. She was now specifically rooting against Miguel. And this is on the heels of their big fight. She don't know how to read a room. I tell you, not only does she not know how to read a room, she doesn't want to read a room. Because I'm telling you, the thing with Lindy is it's all about what she wants, her emotions and her feelings. And what she does is she tries to control people by saying, if you don't give me my way and do what I want, I'm going to have an outburst and I'm going to take this stuff to level 10. That's what she does. It's almost like a threat. And so afterwards, she's sitting at the table and she's pouring her heart out to me. I can't keep it in no more. She's crying. She's spilling her heart out to Alexis. She's spilling her heart out to Nate, and also Mitch is there. And Nate, boy, I'm telling you, Nate almost looked like he was going to cry listening to Lindy. I wonder if Nate was feeling some of the stuff Lindy was feeling. I know when you start talking about, could he relate that fear of that if you do any wrong, you think wrong, your partner's going to leave you? Because that's what Lindy was expressing. What she was saying is she's walking on eggshells. She feels like she can't do anything right. And if she does something wrong, that Miguel is going to leave her. And I'm telling you, Nate looked like he was going to cry, because I think deep down inside, Nate has been doing some of this with Stasha. He has been holding his tongue. He has been giving into her sometimes in her ways. And I would imagine that somewhere deep inside there with Nate, he felt some of those emotions of Lindy when she was like, what happens when you do something wrong? Will your partner leave you? And I think deep down, Nate has some of those same feelings about Stasha, and you could see him almost tearing up over it listening to Lindy. But these were Lindy's fears, that if I do anything wrong, he's gonna leave me. But what Lindy wants is Lindy wants to be able to do whatever she wants to do, and he says he's never gonna leave her. Well, I told you from the beginning, that's not Miguel. Miguel's going to say, you know what, he loves Lindy, but she is absolutely going to have to get better. Lindy thinks this is going to be a relationship like the past relationships, where she can just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and people will take it. That is not Miguel. Miguel is going to require change from Lindy. Lindy cannot keep being the same person. She better get it together. Lindy keeps talking about she can't be the punching bag. I can't be the punching bag. But what she doesn't understand is today in this episode for this little retreat, she was the punching bag. He was letting it rip on her. But for all the other episodes, Miguel was the punching bag. Shoot, just a few episodes, I was talking about how Lindy was pimping Miguel. Lindy doesn't get it. She thinks that she's the victim now, but Miguel has been a victim for pretty much all the whole season. The whole season, he has been her punching bag. Well, I hope they can get it together. I really do. I do think Miguel really loves Lindy. And I know he always comes back and he apologizes. I still can't imagine him saying a no on decision day. But I'm going to tell you what I could imagine. I could imagine him saying yes on decision day. And if Lindy doesn't get it together, if she doesn't get it together after decision day and the months after they're married, and she continues on this road, I can absolutely imagine Miguel calling it quits. This is really going to be in Lindy's ball court. She has to do the majority of the work, because this outburst we've seen from Miguel, the majority of time he's been able to hold it in. But it's unrealistic to expect that he always has to hold his tongue, and she never gets to say, and she always gets to say and do whatever she wants. These temper tantrums and this childlike behavior, she got to get rid of it. This girl is a medical doctor. This is sad to watch. But anyways, that's it, y'all. Please watch my other videos. I'm doing videos on all the separate couples. And if I've done the video, you should see a link here and you can watch the other video. But that's it. Talk to y'all later. Bye.